I wasn't planning on doing a video today, but when I saw this in the newspaper, I really had no option but to make a video and comment on it. So the first thing to say is that if you want to understand what somebody's going to do, the first thing you have to appreciate is their objectives. What is it they're trying to achieve? And once you've figured out somebody's objectives, it's then fairly easy to predict what their actions will be, what their behaviour will be. And nothing is more truer than in this situation. So again, it's one of these interesting situations where this story, it's in all the mainstream media, and the phrases in all of these articles, in all of these publications, it must be just a coincidence in that they're all the same. So the headline is "Weight Loss Jabs for Jobs." So this has been announced by their UK Health Secretary, a bloke called Wes Streeting. Just come from nowhere, basically, this guy. Just another World Economic Forum puppet. And apparently the unemployed, according to him, could be given new weight loss, let's call them injections, to get them back into work. So I guess the inference here is that there's quite a lot of British people who are on sick leave because they're so overweight that they're not able to work. Notice the word given in the headline. It's not that the overweight will be asked or offered. Notice the wording in the article. It doesn't say that the obese or overweight will be offered weight loss drugs or injections or whatever. That's another point, actually, isn't it? Are they offering them Ozempic? Is Ozempic an injection or is it a tablet? I don't know. You can tell me in the comments. But you know, they're not saying offered, they're saying given, which for me implies zero autonomy in the decision-making process. You're given it, aren't you, rather than it being offered to you and you choosing whether you either will or won't take this injection or tablet, whatever it is. So then have a look at some of the people's comments. I think it was on Facebook. BBC had it, ITV News had it, Daily Mail had it, and you know, to my dismay, people weren't calling out something that I felt is fairly obvious, that this is just another attempt by the British government, by the Starmer regime, to forcibly medicate its population. So obviously they've tried this before, you know, with the, let's call it the medical experiment. No medical experiment, can't go on holiday, can't travel for work, can't keep your job in some cases. They can't go to a music festival. Tried all sorts of things, as you know, to coerce people and forcibly medicate them. So bodily sovereignty was being compromised, obviously, by these bribes and threats and just general coercion, of manipulation of people's behaviour. And yes, it didn't work, but you know, the big club, they tend to go for these this sort of slow drip approach. So I think it did set quite an important precedent, you know, in that people were being encouraged to believe that they no longer had bodily sovereignty. They no longer had control over things that went in or things that didn't go into their own bodies. And this is just like working on this. It's just another example of it, another tactic that's designed to achieve their goal of them deciding what goes inside your body rather than you deciding. What was also interesting was some of the quotes in these articles, same quotes in all the publications, from this Wes Streeting guy. And in all cases, these quotes were all emphasising a collectivist, or trying to impart a collectivist mindset on the British people. So I'll give you some examples. So first off, Streeting's saying that this is going to benefit the economy. So it doesn't really matter what you think. You're going to have, you're going to be given. That was the word that was used. You're going to be given these new weight loss injections because it's going to, in quotes, benefit the economy. So it doesn't really matter what you think. For the collective good, in this case for the benefit of the economy in aggregation, you're just going to have to suck it up. Obviously, I think what they're likely to do is make welfare payments dependent on you ingesting whatever medications they say that you have to ingest for the collective social good. Other ones, he says, another quote, he says, Streeting says, widening waistbands were placing a burden on the NHS. Now, obviously, we can't have any of that. You know, you might not like to have a particular thing inside your body, but I'm really sorry. The collective social good, what's best for the collective social good, outweighs any squeamishness you might have about taking a new drug. You know, incidentally, I wonder how long this drug's been tested for. I wonder if we know whether this drug will be safe and effective in the long term. Just questions for the YouTube censor. Not making any statements, just asking questions. Yeah, so widening waistbands were placing a burden on the NHS. The NHS is more important than you as an individual. That's the message, pleb, for you to absorb. Streeting is also saying that this obesity is costing taxpayers £11 billion a year. Can't have any of that. You know, you've got to just do what you're told to do and have whatever drugs we tell you're going to have. Streeting also saying that it's holding back the economy, and you know, again, we can't have any of that, can we? So forced, or at the very least coerced medication is coming to the UK. They're going to try and bring that back in the same way that they tried it in 2021, 2022. I guess another thing that you could say here is that they'll probably set up a classic divide and rule situation. In this case, the divide will be between people who are obese and on benefits and people who are of a healthy weight. Now, you know, I know some people will say, well, it's not right that people have eaten themselves into unemployment, and you know, maybe this is a good thing. What I would say in response to that is, what's not good is the state coercing or even mandating certain medical treatments on people, no matter what the circumstances are. That is a complete overreach of state power, and it's utterly unacceptable. You know, personally, my solution, I would get rid of welfare payments anyway. They just cause massive internal conflict within society anyway, because you've got one group of people paying, and then you've got other groups of people collecting on those well, let's call it what it is, loot that's been stolen from other people. Because remember, people don't voluntarily pay tax, they're forced into it, and if you don't pay tax, the state will use its monopoly on legalised violence to go round and steal your stuff, hold you hostage until you pay them what they say you owe them. And the other thing as well, I'd say, is that there is something very simple that the state could do to solve obesity without the need for expensive drugs that other taxpayers have to pay for, and that is to change their medical advice. Now, again, we're into this realm of, are their mistakes accidental or are they deliberate? Do they actually want us fit and well? Can't answer that one because I don't want to get this censored, but you can probably guess what I think. So who's made people fat? Well, we've had this dietary advice, haven't we, that I've talked about in previous videos, where they've pushed high carbohydrate, low fat diets, and that's just coincided with a massive surge in obesity, and people actually have followed their advice. They can't say that we're fat because we didn't follow their advice and switch from butter to margarine and to eat less red meat, because and eat more vegetables, because that's exactly what we've done. But following on from that, we've got fatter, not thinner. So look, the obvious thing to do is that we just need to have better health advice for people who are obese and who are diabetic, and that advice is just to go back to a proper human diet. So a diet that's our gut biochemistry, physiology kind of indicates that we're supposed to eat animal protein, animal fat. We're not supposed to eat mountains of grains, or stuff that comes in a packet that's been made in a factory. So all it needs really to solve the obesity epidemic is just some honest information about the proper human diet. It doesn't even cost any money. But you see, if you're a corrupt politician, you don't like that, because you lose the opportunity to put your hand in other people's pockets. If you try to solve or not solve obesity through expensive drugs, you can take a cut on the taxes that are stolen from people to pay for those drugs, which may or may not, probably not, help people who've got these health problems. Will this strategy work? Personally, I think the kind of divide and rule that they're going for between healthy people, fat people, that's got a very good chance of working, far better than between those that visited Maxine and those that didn't. I think they're more likely to get what they want here, which is coercing people into or forced medication, by using the threat of taking away welfare money. Most of the population, I think, would go with that, even though it would be a complete abuse of basic human rights, for the state to decide what goes inside your body. It's absolutely awful. I can also see too, this maybe being extended into something else, into like euthanasia. If you refuse to take these drugs, maybe something worse could happen to you, that you have to report to, one of these special life-ending pods, for the greater social good, because you're just costing the NHS too much money, and you're costing the taxpayer too much money in terms of unemployment benefits and the like, and we just can't afford you. We can't. Your life is just too expensive for society, for the collective social good. So it's very similar to going back to what I was saying the other day about the Action T4 program, where the government in Germany in the 1930s murdered thousands of their own citizens because they decided, for the greater social good, that their lives were a net negative social benefit. And yeah, they had to go. So that's all I'm going to say today. So God bless.